I've 24 female, 2 kids, 1.5 female, 5 months male, with my husband, 24 male. He comes from a wealthy family, so he used to be all excess, alcohol, parties, anything you name. He used to be a player too, until I got pregnant with our first kid. I won't go into much detail about it, but we had to put up with a lot from each part to make it work. He went to rehab for a while, and after that, he decided to walk away from the family business to avoid relapsing in his former vices and making something of his own. He truly is a great husband and a much better father. In August of this year, a woman, Pam, came into our house with her 4-year-old kid, claiming that my husband was his dad. She started to yell at us, saying that she was going to sue him for child support and that he was going to regret leaving her alone. My husband was so distressed with the thought of his child growing up without a father that he was willing to do anything to make it up to him, until my mother-in-law, a lawyer, told him that the first thing he needed to do was to get a paternity test. Pam refused at first, saying that my husband had not only left her, but now he wanted to humiliate her even more by doubting her. Keep in mind that my husband doesn't remember this woman at all. She isn't one of his exes, so he doesn't know if he truly left her alone. She ended up agreeing after my mother-in-law told her that no paternity test meant no money. They got the paternity test at the end of August, but since the cases rose suddenly here, it wasn't possible to have the results quickly. In that time, my husband bonded with the kid. We used to let him come 2 or 3 days a week to play with my girl, until he said that he could come over every day without talking to me first. I have a baby, and between my oldest and him, he is crying all the time because they kept going into his room all the time. I told my husband as much, but he is so thrilled with his presence that he told me to handle it. He also started to spend more time with Pam because he wanted to know more about the kid. We never told him that my husband might be his father because we don't know if he truly is, but they are so alike that it hurts. Finally, the results came a few days ago, and my husband is not the father. This broke him a lot because he truly cherished him now, and I do too, but it's hard. When we told Pam, she broke down too because if my husband isn't the father, then she doesn't know who is then, and she begged my husband to take him since they get along so well. She says that her son deserves a dad, and my husband has all the means to be one. We didn't say anything at the moment, but yesterday, my husband sat me down and told me he wants to do it. He wants to be his dad, but that he won't do it if I'm against it. So I said no. I don't want him to be the father of someone else's kid. We told Pam, and she said that I was a petty bee for depriving a child of a parent. I'm so conflicted. I don't want to cause harm to a kid, but the picture hurts a lot. Not the a-hole. You and your husband need to get into couples therapy ASAP. This woman tried to scam your husband and threatened him over a child that is not even his. And now he wants to make a permanent commitment, even knowing she lied, and permanently involve this woman in your life and the lives of your children. You need to lay down some serious hard boundaries ASAP. And yes, seriously, marriage counseling, stat. Not the a-hole. This is definitely a weird situation, but I truly do not understand why your husband would want to be a father to a random person's child, especially considering you have your own kids. You make it sound like Pam was just a hookup, so it's absolutely bizarre to me that this is happening. Not the a-hole. It's been maybe 2 months of knowing this kid, and the mother is guilt-tripping you. And as far as your husband goes, it's great there's a bond, but what? We're talking August of this year, right? This is weird. 10 years ago, my ex-husband, 45 male, cheated on me, and I, 46 female, was devastated. We started couples counseling because I wanted to see if we could save the marriage for the sake of our children. However, after the woman my husband cheated on with me had a baby, she sued him for child support, and the paternity test revealed he was the father. I did not sign up for this and filed for divorce. My ex begged me to stay and would do whatever it took to fix his mistake, but my mind was made up. Since then, we've managed to become excellent co-parents with 50-50 custody, and because my ex has a lucrative career, he's able to provide for our children quite well. He's also very active in our children's lives and is more than willing to keep the kids longer if I ever feel overwhelmed. A few weeks ago, I received a message on social media, and it turned out to be the woman my ex slept with. She was reaching out to me because my ex refuses to speak to her directly and always has his lawyer do the talking for her. She knows how involved my ex is with our children and wants the same effort put into hers. She says that he only pays the court-mandated child support and not a penny more, and her child keeps asking to meet their siblings. I asked her what she expected me to do about it, and she asked me to help coordinate family outings so that the children can get to know each other better and to convince my ex to be a more involved parent. I told her that if my children wish to have a relationship with their younger sibling, I won't stand in the way, but assisting and facilitating is not my responsibility. I told her that I wasn't her ally and to please leave me alone. She responded that since our children have the same father, it is my job to help make sure that they have a good relationship with their sibling, and that by not doing anything, I'm setting a bad example. I still don't believe it's my job, because she and my ex are that child's parents. But I just wanted to know, am I the a-hole for not doing more? Edit. Just to clarify, my children are 15 and 13, and their half-sibling is 9 or 10. Not the a-hole. She's an experienced homewrecker. If she wants her child to have siblings with whom to have a direct relationship, she can find another man to sire some with her. Hopefully, someone who is not married at this time. You owe her and her child absolutely nothing. You are a much better person than I am to even consider allowing your children to have a relationship with this child of your ex-husband's affair. It is not the child's fault how they came to be. However, you and your children are not to be expected to be openly welcoming them into your lives. This woman sounds like the type of person who would crap on your head and expect you to thank her for the hat. No. That is their shared father's responsibility if it's anyone's. And since he has made it very clear that he won't do anything except give financial support, she's just out of luck. If she wants to talk about setting bad examples, maybe she should examine her own behavior, i.e., sleeping with a married man. Not the a-hole. She's an a-hole for demanding help from someone whose marriage she helped break up. Your ex is an a-hole for cheating and for treating his other child like they don't exist. This is not your circus, and these are not your monkeys. She should be thankful that you aren't actively opposed to your children having anything to do with hers. Not the a-hole. It was her responsibility not to sleep with a married man. It is her job to co-parent with him. There is no place you haven't met your responsibilities. It is time she figures out how to manage her own. My 20 female brother, Cam, 25 male, has been dating his girlfriend, Jane, 26 female, for a year and a half. Cam works in a warehouse 1 hour 30 minutes away by train, so he's gone before Jane wakes up and often comes home pretty late, so him and Jane don't get much bonding time. Around 5 months ago, there was an issue with the trains where we lived, and many were delayed, meaning Cam had to get a hotel room overnight a few times a week. He had called Jane about it, but she never picked up or looked at his texts. He just assumed she was asleep or busy, as it was pretty late. Well, Jane has seen all his texts and calls, but decided. He had been cheating, and so decided to switch his lube to an oil-based one. For those of you who don't know, oil-based lube mixed with latex condoms deteriorates the material and makes it an ineffective barrier. You might as well go raw. Well, Jane put the lube and condoms in a travel bag in the wardrobe and checked them every day when she got up to see if Cam had moved them. After 5 months, they hadn't, and I guess Jane forgot about it. Then they had S and used the unlucky combination, and Jane got pregnant. We only found out about all this because Jane spilt it to Cam, and Cam was obviously upset and left to mull it all over. He's currently crashing at our parents' house where I am also currently living. Yesterday, Jane showed up at the house whilst I was home alone, asked to talk to Cam. I said he wasn't there, and she broke down and said she felt super guilty about it, and that she doesn't want to be a single mother. She asked if I was Cam, would I ever forgive her, and I replied, well, what you did was ducking dumb and deceitful, so no. She broke down even more, and after a few minutes left. I felt guilty, but what did she expect? She went out of her way to change the lube so it would make contraception ineffective. Did she want this hypothetical mistress to get pregnant? When Mum and Cam got back, I told them Jane had been around looking for Cam. I told them what I said, and Mum did the full name you're in trouble voice. She said I was out of line for tormenting a pregnant woman. Cam wasn't super pleased about the whole situation and said I should have just said nothing. Now they're both mad at me. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I'm sorry for not adding this in earlier, but Cam is getting a paternity test. He says if it's his, he'll stay, and if not, he'll bounce. I know Jane knows about the test, but not about what he'll do if it's not his. Not the a-hole. I don't think you're an a-hole. I think you're correct. Also, you're sticking up for your brother. However, you should have minded your own business. I bet your brother goes back to her. I wouldn't hate her. If she actually learns from this, she may be a good wife and mother. But you don't know what your brother wants to do, so you should have kept your mouth closed. Still, I don't think you're the a-hole, just rash. Not the a-hole. She played stupid games and won stupid prizes. She clearly talked to you looking for a right answer, and you're not obligated to indulge her BS. Sure, you can be nicer, but if someone pulled that crap on my brother, I would have zero empathy for them too. Depending on where you are in the world, what she did, intentionally damaging contraceptives, constitutes S aggression. Frankly, your brother should be pushing for sole custody instead of having the kids be raised by someone like her. Not the a-hole. She did a horrible, reckless, downright evil thing, and should not ask anyone about the prospects for forgiveness unless she's willing to hear duck no. She wants absolution. She should see a priest. Some background. I, 25 female, left my ex, 32 male, back when I was pregnant, due to the traumatic aggression he put me through. He and I hardly spoke, and when our son was born, he did not come to see him. He denied being the father, and had everyone in his town believe I was an S who banged everyone. When paternity test came back as 99.99998%, he handed me custody with no fight. I remember watching his new girlfriend storm out of the courtroom when the results were announced. He attended visitations for a few weeks, then suddenly stopped. Few years passed. I moved and started attending college while he still lives with his parents. In July 2020, our son turned 5. My ex had been invited to every birthday celebration and never showed, never called, never sent a gift. Just an hour after my son's birthday party, I was scrolling Facebook and happened to see my ex's mother had posted a congratulations to her son, who had gotten married earlier that day. My ex never called to wish my son a happy birthday, never sent a text, gift, or card, but had the time to get married on the one day of the year where I feel he should be spending his time with his child. I took screenshots of the post, every comment, every picture, and posted it on my timeline, calling my ex out for being a deadbeat, not worthy of being called a father. His mother and some of his family came to try to defend him. So many of my friends and family, and even strangers, came to my aid and wrote about how much of a POS he is. My fiancé had said, "I've known this child for 3 years, and not once has his so-called father ever been there or been involved." Now, almost on a weekly basis, I have his family message me telling me I'm an a-hole, POS, how my son will be ashamed of what I have said about his father when he grows up, and how I'm somehow the reason my son has no father. Am I the a-hole? Being obsessed with his whereabouts and lack of interest in your son does nothing for your son. Everyone sucks here. Move on. Your son does not need his mother to be bitter, vindictive, and immature. Don't play yourself and pretend that you did that for him. He does not have a father. Your Facebook tantrum did not fix that. Nothing will. What? It's not immature for a mom to expect the baby's father to be involved in his life? Or angry that he isn't? Sadly, many men fail at this, but they definitely deserve to be called out on it. I agree, though, that this isn't going to change the fact that the father has abandoned his child, at least emotionally. And what the hell with getting married on your abandoned son's birthday? Is he claiming it was a coincidence? 365 days in a year, and they choose this one, not the a-hole. Everyone sucks here. Why are you forcing a relationship between your son and his father? The father clearly does not want it. Your son should not be put through a roller coaster of emotions where he expects to see him. He handed you custody. He wanted nothing to do with having a child. I think he made it clear that he does not want to be involved in your son's life. Why would you cause more drama and try to go after him? It sounds like you both moved on. Your behavior is just going to be a constant source of negativity and a constant reminder that your son's bio dad doesn't care. So, last month, my ex, who I've been dating for nearly a year, broke up with me. It was a complete blindside. I thought everything was great and we were talking about getting an apartment together next year. Then we went to a party where she saw her most recent ex. A few days later, she told me that he talked to her that night and said he realized how bad he ducked up when he saw her with another guy, me. He's now ready to give up his vices for her, and she's sorry, but she still loves him enough to want to give their relationship another try. I was shocked and hurt as hell, but what can I do? I can't force her to stay. I was miserable for weeks, but now I just want to settle things and move on. And one of the things that needs to be settled is the $4,000 that she owes me. We never talked about how or when she would pay me. Back then, all I thought of was that she was my girlfriend. She needed money for a valid reason, and I had money to spare. I wanted to take care of her problem because I wanted to take care of her. I told her to pay me when she had money, and she's been paying me a couple $100s every now and then. I was fine with that because she was my girlfriend, but it's not something that I would do for everyone. Now that we're no longer together, I've been thinking about asking her to pay me the $4,000 by the end of the year. I know it sounds petty, but honestly, now that she's no longer with me, and given the circumstances of our breakup, I don't feel as inclined to be lenient to her with money as I did before. I also want a clean break, so I can totally move on from all of this. I don't like the idea that I'll still have some sort of communication or connection with her for the next few years, if it takes that long for her to pay me. You're the a-hole. You're totally entitled to want your money back, but giving her less than a month to come up with $4,000 is obviously unrealistic. Talk to her about paying you back with regular payments, maybe every month, and hopefully she'll set up a direct debit or something, and you won't have to interact with her at all after that first conversation. Asking for it all this month is almost certainly going to get you nowhere if she doesn't just have it spare sitting around. You're the a-hole. You're being unreasonable. You expect her to give you $4,000 in 26 days. That's ridiculous. You've said in many comments that you don't think she'd swindle you, but you just want it over and done with. Understandable. However, unless she's making an obscene amount of money, there is no way you can expect her to pay you all of it in 26 days. Talk about a payment plan, and that's that. Not the a-hole, but $4,000 by the end of the year is a big ask. $1,000 a month for the next 4 might be more reasonable. Update. So I went ahead and called her and nicely asked if she would pay me back at the end of December, because I just want a clean break so we can all move on. She said she understood, and she'll see what she can do. I later learned that she sold her car to her boyfriend, who let her continue using the car. In short, she got paid and she kept the car she sold to pay me. Great ending for everyone. But then a few weeks later, she called me saying she wanted to talk. She and her boyfriend went to my apartment and told me the craziest thing. She's pregnant. And with that, I've accepted the fact that I will never get the clean break I wanted. It's been 3 months since then. We did the paternity test and confirmed that I'm the father. She and her boyfriend are still together, and he is in counseling as a sign of his commitment to her. The main reason she left him before was that he had a drinking problem that he couldn't control, so I was concerned that she was staying with him while pregnant. He assured me that he's turned over a new leaf for her, and he will stay with her through this. She says that things are great between them, and he is completely sober now. We all try to get along as best we can for the baby.